Welcome to The Explainer. Listen, if you're an Android developer, you know the Play Store can be the Wild West. Well, a huge storm is brewing. Google is about to crack down hard on copycat apps, and if you're not ready, your app could literally be suspended. Today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know to stay safe.
So let's get right to it. The big question on everyone's mind, is your app at risk? See, Google is targeting what they see as this flood of low-effort, repetitive apps. Come on, we've all seen them, right? Dozens of apps that look, feel, and play almost exactly the same. Well, with the new update to their Deceptive Behavior Policy, Google is finally drawing a line in the sand. We need to figure out which side of it your app is on.
And to really get how big this change is, just look at the before and after here. For years, the playbook for some was pretty simple. Buy a game template, slap a new coat of paint on it, and hit publish. It was a bit of a gray area for sure. But that gray area, it's gone. Google is moving to a much stricter stance, kind of like Apple's App Store has had for a while, by cracking down on what they're calling design spam.
Okay, let's dive into the specifics. Google's whole new rulebook really hinges on this one key phrase, design spam. So, what in the world does that actually mean? Here it is, straight from the source. Design spam is basically Google's catch-all term for what they see as clutter. All those low-effort, repetitive apps that are, let's be honest, carbon copies of something already out there. And notice, it's not just about the visuals, the design. They're talking about features and, crucially, core gameplay.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, as you can see here, two really common business models are now explicitly on the chopping block. First, that whole cottage industry of buying cheap templates and just reskinning them, yeah, Google is shutting that down. And second, and this is the one that might catch a lot of people off guard, directly lifting a competitor's game levels and mechanics is now a clear-cut violation.
Let's make this even more concrete, right? The analysis of this policy change pointed to a genre you've probably seen a million times, the screw puzzle game. You know the ones. So how does this new rule apply when a whole genre is just flooded with super similar-looking games? Now this is where it gets really, really interesting, because this quote right here clarifies a massive point of confusion. This is what trips up so many developers. You might be thinking, hey, I wrote all my code from scratch, I'm totally safe. But this quote makes it crystal clear that Google is looking way beyond your code base.
And this just hammers the point home. Your code can be 100% original, you could have written every single line yourself, but if the user experience, the levels, the mechanics, the actual feel of the game is just a carbon copy of another app, you are still violating the policy. It is all about the final product that the user sees, not just the code underneath.
So, what does this new App Store landscape even look like? With any major policy change like this, there are always going to be winners and there are always going to be losers. Let's break down who stands to gain and who's suddenly in a very, very risky spot.
What you're looking at here is a fundamental shift in who the Play Store is designed to reward. On one side, you've got your clear winners, original creators, real innovators, and game designers who pour time and effort into unique experiences. But on the other side, well, the losers are just as clear. If your whole business model is built on quickly copying what your competitors do or just churning out reskinned templates, the writing is on the wall.
Okay, this brings us to probably the most important part of this whole explainer for you as a developer, the actual actionable steps you can take right now to make sure your app portfolio is safe and compliant before the hammer comes down.
All right, here's your 4-step survival guide. Think of this as a critical audit for your entire portfolio. First, audit your account itself for any red flags. Second, go look at your marketing and your store listing. No more deceptive screenshots or descriptions. Third, and this is the big one for this new policy, you have to be brutally honest and analyze your gameplay. Is it genuinely distinct from your competitors? And finally, dot your I's and cross your T's on the technical stuff, like making sure your privacy policy is up to snuff.
So when does all this actually start to matter? Is this happening tomorrow, next week, or do you have some time to prepare? Here it is, the key date you absolutely need to circle on your calendar. Strict implementation begins in the third quarter of 2025. This is not some far-off hypothetical problem. The clock is officially ticking, and when that deadline hits, apps and games that get flagged as design spam are going to face suspension, period.
At the end of the day, this is way more than just a new rule. It's a huge statement from Google. By trying to sweep away all the clones, they are making a massive bet that originality and real creativity will finally flourish. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question you see right here. Is this going to work? Could this be the move that finally sparks a new wave of true innovation on the Google Play Store? I guess for developers and users alike, only time will tell.